Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered. Hello, everybody. This is Adriana, your host to Negotiating Happiness. We're just tuning in here on this wonderful Monday, Easter Monday. If anybody is celebrating Easter, happy Easter, everybody. I wonder what everybody did this weekend. We had a lovely weekend with our family, and we got to watch the Easter Bunny come in, and it was absolutely wonderful. We are airing live, if you're just tuning in, on 107.7 FM New Orleans on United Public Radio Network. And this, again, it's Adriana with Negotiating Happiness. Thank you so much to everybody who is tuning in. We've got a special show planned today where we talk about the power of positive thinking. And just to give everybody a quick recap, since this is only the second episode, we are going to be speaking about anything from, the struggles of entrepreneurship to parenting to finding balance in your life and happiness, and maybe seeing how, your neighbor does it, learning from different entrepreneurs, your neighbors, your friends. So just a quick reminder, if you have anybody that is interested in sharing with us how they find they're happy, we'd be happy to hear from them. So let's get started. We're going to try and talk a little bit about the impact of positive thinking, not only on your business, but also on your life, your parenting, and maybe we'll delve into some spiritual teachings on the topic as well, since it's very much linked to that. So positive thinking, it refers to the practice of focusing on the good in life rather than the dwelling on the negative, which is so easy to do. This is not something that comes easy to anybody. It is definitely a learned skill, and hopefully we're going to try and do this together. So optimism is a huge theme in this. It's and seeking out actively, positive experiences is what will make this work. The benefits of positive thinking, there are just so many. It's been linked to improving mood, reducing stress, increasing, well-being. And research has also shown that people who practice positive thinking are more resilient in the face of adversity and are better able to cope with difficult situations. We've got all kinds of leaders in our society that preach this to us, but sometimes it's really hard to relate to some of these people. So we have to kind of find our own way, what's best for us. And how can this, make our lives easier in business? How does this, help us in facing challenges? We experience so much stress, so much, financial instability at first when we first start a business. Positive thinking can actually, maintain that resilience that we've got in there. It can help us stay motivated. So this is why it's so important. We've got here research that shows that, people who practice this are overall healthier, happier, and more successful than those who focus on the negative. There's a study done by Liborski in 2005 that found that people who practice positive thinking for just a few minutes a day experience a significant increase in well-being over the course of several weeks. So that's a huge benefit considering the time commitment that it takes. It's only a few minutes. So how can you incorporate that into your normal day-to-day life? How can you take the time to say, these 5 minutes are just going to be about me and the way I think and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to feel, regardless of what is thrown at me for the day. Um, this is something that people who practice meditation have an easier time doing, because already with meditation, you're teaching yourself how to be more disciplined and how to control, your breathing, your emotions that come in. And again, this is something that's going to take practice, but considering a few minutes would, save you a whole lot of grief for the next couple of weeks. That it's just on, there's no argument there. It's 100% positive. It's a huge benefit. And there are quotes from people that talk about how, your attitude determines your altitude. So what does that mean? What does that mean for you when you giving yourself these pep talks, when you're trying to, get yourself out of a funk, for example? Can you resonate with that? Can you understand that the way that you think about your current situation will determine, are you going to be on a high? Are you going to be on a low? Are you just going to be all over the place? It's definitely a discipline that you're going to have to work at. But it is true. I'm 100% a believer that it takes your own self to kind of coach you, coach your own mind to say, nope, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the negativity. This is exactly what I need to do. Is I need to stop and focus on what is positive out of this. And it's something that is totally doable. Doesn't cost money, costs very little time, and there is no excuse, right? And it can also be used as a tool to promote success, because many successful entrepreneurs and small businesses have attributed their success to a positive mindset. They've been, advocates for this. So Richard Branson, which is the founder of the Virgin Group, has often spoken about the importance of a positive attitude in achieving success. And it's shown, these are the people who are at the top that we can learn from, that we can not necessarily mimic, because I don't believe that we need to, mimic anybody in how we run our life or our business, but there are definitely lessons that we can take from people. And just a reminder, guys, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat. I will be checking in every so often. I've got here like multiple screens, so if you see me looking back and forth, I'm just looking for people. So feel free to go ahead. Okay, so let's just continue here. What have you guys ever heard of negativity bias? Is this something that has been on your minds, or even a topic that you've discussed in the past? Let me know in the comments. So when we talk about negativity bias, we're referring to the tendency for humans to pay more attention to negative experience rather than positive ones. We see this a lot with reviews. You're a lot more likely to go online and leave a bad review when somebody's upset you, or when they're just not working with you, or whatever the situation may be, than if you were to walk away happy from a business, from a restaurant, from whatever it is, to give them praise. And this can, this is what science tells us. It can be attributed to evolutionary factors, because negative experiences are often more salient and require immediate attention, whereas positive ones are more of what we expect, or why we do the things that we do, or why we go and, let's say, we want to experience something because we think that it's going to give us joy, not because we think it's going to give us grief. So that makes 100% so much sense. And I don't know, think about the last time that you were, that you wanted to leave a good review. Maybe it happens. Maybe you are one of those people who is, very much aware of how that works for you, and you want to leave, people with a positive attitude, or you want to show your appreciation, and that's great. That's really great. But do you, like, when was the last time you did that? Are you not more likely to go and complain about something? Because I am guilty of that. I am that person to say, this was terrible, but I have to say, I will tell people, um, if we're face to face, or if I'm really appreciative, I will say thank you. I'll say you're doing a great job. But I probably wouldn't go out of my way all the time to leave good reviews. I'll probably go and warn other people about bad reviews. So that makes more sense to me, and what they're saying here with the science that's been explained. So again, we go back to some of the benefits to try and remember and make sure that we form a habit, right? Where we think about, improved mood, reduced stress, increased well-being. It's something that we can't ignore. I mean, after I turned 30, I feel like my body has let me down in so many ways that now I'm actively seeking on how to, improve my quality of life. This is definitely one of the things that I've noticed. I used to get really stressed out at driving. I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I get so upset because either, people aren't paying attention, or even just a simple, people don't signal or whatever. And now I'm like, why? Why am I putting in all of this effort into feeling negative when I can just say, it's fine. We're all going about our day. Nothing bad happened. Let's move on with our lives, right? It's true. It might seem like such a minor thing, but it does really improve the quality of your life. So, some of the techniques that have been studied in science are, um, visualizations and affirmations. So, whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I take a moment. And if I'm by myself, or if I'm trying to, quickly regulate my emotions, I try to close my eyes and visualize myself in a place where I feel safe and happy, and, or maybe things that, bring you back memories. And a lot of people are very different when it comes to senses. So I'm a kind of a visual learner. So I find that that really helps. Whereas other people are, certain smells remind them of happy things or calm them down, or um, maybe feels. Another really good one for me is when I'm outside, in the sun, and feeling the sun just hit my skin. It's so invigorating for me. That's definitely one of the things. So I try to visualize that when I'm not. I mean, let's face it, I live, in Canada, where for half the year we're buried in snow and it's very cold. So I feel like that visualization technique has to happen multiple times a week. So that's definitely one of um, the techniques that works best for me. And maybe you guys have some different ones that I can try. So let me know, when you get a chance, or when you're listening to this. Leave us a comment to let us know. We've got here, affirmations. It's really cute. I'm sure everybody's I'm sure everybody's seen those TikTok videos where it's these little kids that, their parents are definitely doing something right. They're teaching them how to, put positive affirmations forward. And they're sitting there in the mirror talking about how, they're beautiful, they're smart, they're strong, they're friendly, they're, loving. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's funny how much more effort it takes for us as adults to be able to portray that kind of confidence and certainty. But for these kids, they're just fresh and new, and they're just able to grasp the concept and they just go with it. So I feel like that's something that a lot of us could practice more. And when it comes to business, some of these techniques could be mentally picturing a desired outcome in your business, or I'll give you a specific example. We put out a proposal, and I wasn't sure, because this was a proposal that had just been kind of concocted and worked on, and we put it together. It wasn't the most detailed proposal, so I was feeling kind of iffy about it. However, I just sat there and I had to basically talk myself through it. and say, nope, this is what's going to happen, is they're going to review it. They're going to get back to me with one question, and then they're going to sign on the dotted line, and this proposal is going to be, golden. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They got back. They didn't have any more questions. They were really, really appreciative that we took the time to do it for them, and they signed. And I was like, wow, like, think of how much I was holding myself back before by not taking some of the steps that I took here in business, right? So I just sat there and I pictured it, and it happened because we are logical beings. And while this might not seem logical, it does, because it's backed by, what what you do, what you've learned. All of the mistakes you've made in the past really do show up for you when you need them, when you need to learn more. It's funny because I was scrolling through social media yesterday, and I found this meme where it was a visual representation of where we learn the most, and that was very helpful. The first representation, it was a stack of books, right? So the first stack of books was maybe 2 books. This was the visual representation of how much we learn from theory. So from actually studying, or from learning, or when somebody tells you this is what's supposed to happen, right? And it was just 2 books. Then the next stack of books was a little bit more, and this was the visual representation of how much you're learning from practice. And that kind of surprised me because, I think of practice makes perfect, and you only learn through practice, and, all these different ideas that we were told as kids that were valid. The third stack of books was huge. It was probably larger than the first 2 combined. And that was the visual representation of how much we learn from making mistakes. And that was huge for me because I 100% agree. So while, yes, mistakes can be very negative and they can take you down, and they make you reevaluate things, they're also a form of feedback on how to improve your business, and they're a way to understand that you can't please everybody, right? So I 100% agreed with that visualization, and it brings you back to, like, you have to have positive thinking, but it's because all of those mistakes that you've made in the past are backing you up with the decisions that you're making now. So why do you continue to doubt yourself, right? Why are you not sitting there visualizing the outcome that you truly deserve or want, or you have worked for, right? This to me makes 100% sense. And this is it kind of goes back to the law of attraction, right? Where whatever you put out there in the universe is what's going to come back. So if you're generally a positive person, I'm not saying that, bad things don't happen, but you find yourself in more positive situations than bad because you've trained your brain to think about the good in certain things. Because we all know that life is a balance. You can't have the good without the bad. But the way you look at it completely shifts in your mind, right? And I don't know what other techniques you guys use, but the whole, mentally picturing the desired outcome has worked for me in business, and I will continue to support that. And there was actually a study done about affirmations, and I believe it was by Schuler and Parks in 2012. And they found that visualizations and affirmations lead to significant increases in positive effects and life satisfaction. So I don't think it's just magic, right? I don't think you're more likely to experience more positive. It will just seem that way because you have a different mindset. Your mindset's shifted, and you're able to see more of the positive than you do of the negative. It makes sense. At this point is where I think science and spirituality and religion and every other concept that we think about comes together and they finally agree on certain things. They might say it with different words, but they're agreeing. This is where this kind of, ties up in a perfect little bow if you think about it. And many successful entrepreneurs and businesses, small businesses, large businesses, have attributed their success to positive mindset. And it's not just like I mentioned the Virgin Group before. This is not just something that they say in order to motivate their employees, because I think a lot of the times people tend to think, yes, I know you're a very successful business owner, you're just saying that to motivate everybody else, but I think they're talking about their own personal development as well, because how else are you going to get through all those rough patches and challenges in your business, right? And it is true. It is true, though, on the other hand, of having a positive, work culture, it definitely will impact how well you do business and how well your employees will do that business for you. I just think that at this point, from my perspective, being an entrepreneur and kind of doing things on my own, I'm just speaking about my personal development. Do I want everybody to be in a positive mindset, even if they're working with me or not? Yeah, of course. But I'm talking about how can we reflect on our own situation? How can we improve our own situation better? And I think this is it. Positive affirmations and visualizations of outcomes that are desired, deserved. Like, start believing that you deserve these things, right? Because you've worked for it, you've put in the time, the money, the effort, you've made the mistakes, you've rectified them, you deserve this. That's what I want everybody to tell themselves. We've got here, if you want to read about of some of these studies that I've mentioned, let me know. I do have them here in references. I'd be happy to pass them on or post them in the description below. So just let me know. Or if you like to hear me talk about them a little bit more, to kind of dissect them or pick out, specific things. I know that a lot of people are very number oriented, or would like to hear some of the actual statistics. You guys can go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's assisted.ontario, or on Facebook. I believe it's facebook.com//Ontario Assistant. And you will be able to see some more videos then. I've made it a promise to myself, even though, believe it or not, appearing on camera is not my favorite thing. I'm just getting used to it. I promised myself that I would put myself out there, and that's part of my, growth journey of trying to inspire other people, and also teaching myself how to be more comfortable with the things that I'm not. I made a post in the past where it says great things don't come from places of comfort, and I have to continue to remind myself that when I'm in situations that are uncomfortable. I'm sure a lot of us can relate with that. If you guys have questions about anything, you are free to also email info@ontarioassistant.com, and I would be happy to answer those as well. I was going to take a moment and talk about how our parenting journeys can affect positive thinking as well, because again, we don't live in situations where we are all compartmentalized. That's not how it works, especially when you're an entrepreneur. We are constantly intertwining our business life with our personal life, our parenting journeys, our kids, our families, our friends. So I thought this might be good to touch on. Scientific research has shown that parenting style, the type of parent you are, the parenting style that you practice, can have significant impact on children's attitudes and behaviors. And parents who promote positive thinking and optimism tend to have children who are more resilient and better able to cope with stress. And unfortunately, this means, and I know a lot of different generations parent differently, and that's completely fine. But this means that maybe tough love from the get-go is not the best parenting tool to get. And again, don't take it from my experience. I am a new parent. You know, take it from the research, take it from, years and years of research that we have available to us. Do I think that tough love sometimes is necessary? Yes. Do I think that it's necessary to cultivate it from the get-go? No. I think we're there to guide our children, and we're there to teach them how to be positive beings, because it just makes life easier for them. And the research shows that. And who doesn't want a resilient child, right? As much as we don't think that children are bogged down by serious problems, quote unquote, they have their own, right? Each development stage is very specific to their age, right? You can't think that. And it's not just bullying, it's not just, they deal with their own personality, with their own self-worth, and discovering their identities. And that's an ongoing theme. And that's not going to help if we're going to be dismissive, or if we don't equip them with the right tools to be able to become these resilient, functional children that are able to handle some stress. So I completely agree. I think positive thinking is a really good method to not only teach yourself, but also to teach your children. And it's about also what you show them, because you could say one thing, do as I say, not as I do. That quote sometimes comes back to, it backfires. You have to promote positive thinking by modeling positive behavior and having a positive attitude. And this can include things like expressing gratitude, or focusing on solutions rather than problems, or seeking out positive experiences, right? You could also use positive reinforcement like praise and rewards for positive behaviors, or even spiritual like teachings. Maybe there are texts out there that talk about enlightenment and what that means. I'm not saying get a 5-year-old to start learning the teachings of Buddha and enlightenment, but let's take some of those teachings and impart them in a very general, very simple way, in order for kids to understand that there are different ways of looking at things. I think this is one of the biggest life lessons: is how do we make our kids understand that the way you see it is not the way everybody sees it, right? So how do we do that? We start by being the model that we want them to follow, right? That's what we do. We start by making sure that they understand that we also appreciate and follow that kind of a path ourselves, and it's not just something that we tell them to do. So what else could we do with our kids? We could practice positive affirmations in the morning. I've tried to do that with my son, even though he's very young. I've tried to prepare him for daycare. And I don't know if your toddlers were the same, but my toddler is a creature of habit, and he very much likes to know what's going on and what is going to happen for the day, because he likes to tell everybody at daycare who's going to pick him up and what he's going to do after daycare, which is really, really sweet. And I try to, when I'm getting him dressed, I'm saying things like, okay, so just remember, you're going to daycare, you're going to have a great day, you're going to be playing with your friends, just try to focus on the positive things that he will most likely be excited for. I might not necessarily tell him that they're going to ask him to go for a nap, but I will tell him that, they're going to take you outside, you're going to play with your friends, you're going to get to ride the red bikes outside, and then, your aunt's picking you up, and we're having pizza for dinner, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be playing, or we're going to take you for a bike ride, which right now it's his favorite thing in the world. And it's just a way for me to impart that with him, and also remind myself that if I believe that he can have a good day, I can have a good day, right? Excuse me. I'm having a little bit of trouble. I think there was a lot going on this weekend, and my body is finally catching up with me. So I'm sitting here sipping on like warm liquids to hopefully calm down my throat. It's been an interesting weekend. So yeah, so let's make, let's do active steps um into you know take active steps into trying to improve your life and your I guess quality of life, right? And business and parenting and your kids, by practicing these visualization techniques and practicing the outcomes that you want, and doing all these positive affirmations, because at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? You start out your day by being positive, and yeah, sometimes your day is just going to go, you know and be terrible, but because we all have those days. But at the end of the day, you've tried. And the longer you do this, the more likely you are going to find yourself that it becomes a habit. And that's what you want. You want it to become a habit so that it's easier to do this shift. So we're about halfway here, guys. And we're going to do a quick station intro for anybody that's just tuning in. I'm just going on and on and on about positive thinking, but you are actually listening to Negotiating Happiness. And my name is Adriana, and I'm your host. And we are live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And if you guys want to check out some of the other shows that are on the network, I highly recommend. There are a lot of cool topics. And as I did mention, the UFO and paranormal, we've got my friends on Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's called the Outer Realm Radio Show. They talk about anything and everything. And if you are interested in the paranormal, that is the show to watch. And I believe it starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I highly recommend. You might learn a thing or two and maybe start seeing it my way, where these things just sort of all are connected. Science, religion, spirituality, business, life is funny that way. So yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, just a quick reminder, you can leave comments and your thoughts here on YouTube, on Facebook, where we are still getting set up, because this is only episode 2 of the show, and we will soon have even more links available. But if you didn't get to tune in earlier and you'd like to catch up, or if you'd like to listen to the episodes from now on, you can find them on SoundCloud, you can find them on YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes, iHeartRadio, pretty much every platform that streams, you'll be able to have this. And it's not just my show, it's every single show on the network. So feel free to go ahead and follow us on that. Okay, so we're just going to resume here. How can you, so let's say this is a concept that you've thought about, but haven't really, in theory, yes, it sounds really nice that positive thinking is something that we should all be practicing, but how do you start it? How do you go from being reactive to proactive in this case? So the one thing that can help immensely is you have to, whenever a problem comes up, you no longer panic first. You can panic later because we're all human, but your first instinct should be, okay, this is happening, I'm accepting it. What is the solution? If your first thought is not, I accept this, as in realizing it, that you don't have control over it, you're going to have a hard time getting to the solution part. So imagine problem comes up, you panic first, you're not accepting it very quickly. It's like step number 3 or 4. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to say, okay, it's out of my control. I accept it. Done. That part of my brain is now, okay, move on. Then we can get to a solution. Because you can also get to a solution that works for you in relief a lot faster. So that's one thing that I would say start practicing is maybe take control of how quickly you get to the parts that you want in this whole process, right? No panicking first. Panicking can be later. What other thing could you do that you can start immediately that will put you on the path of forming this kind of behavior is start using positive language. Language is a huge, huge influencing factor in a lot of things. It's not just positive thinking, right? The way that we speak to each other determines how biases are formed, how um, how we respond to certain people or how we respond to certain situations. Language is powerful. You need to remember that. So before you put something out there where you verbalize it and it's negative, hold it back, take a breather and just focus on speaking positive language, and sometimes I joke, but I 100% believe in this. And I don't know if you've ever gotten to be in the same room as me. Whenever I say it, I'm like, nope, don't put it out in the universe. And that's kind of the thinking that has helped me, hold myself back sometimes. I'm not perfect, so it doesn't happen all the time, but definitely sometimes I've stopped myself for putting something negative out there in the universe because I don't want it to attract that kind of negativity. So number one, focus on solutions rather than the problems. So accept that it's happening, right? How you deal with your problems, 1. And 2 is use positive language or use positive imagery. Or when you market things, try and use positive messages. And I know that sounds weird because you don't necessarily market things in your business that are negative. You see it a lot with, political campaigns where they talk about their opponents and it's negative, it's whatever. That's a whole other beast on its own, politics. I just wanted to give you a concrete example. But let's say, and it doesn't always work this way because in marketing, you want people to be able to recognize that, oh, I have that problem, so you must have the solution. And I get that. But what I'm referring to is putting out marketing materials that focus on, I'll give you an example, don't keep putting out ad after ad after ad that says, are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Are you making mistakes? Are your clients mad at you? Right? Over and over and over again, because you will probably start attracting some of that stuff. You want to put things out as, do you wish you had more free time? Right? That is in a more positive note, right? On a positive note, you're now thinking of, oh yeah, I've wanted to go on vacation. I wonder where I'd be going on vacation right now. Or say things like, isn't it great when you have happy clients, right? Happy clients equals happy owner, right? So then your brain reading these materials goes, yes, I like that, right? So try in your business to focus on positive language and imagery, and that will help put your own mindset into a better mood. And it's not just you. If you have employees, this is also very important because employees understand what you do from a very different perspective. I've been an employee, and now that I'm working for myself, I think I see things differently in terms of why people do things they do it in their own business. Whereas before, as an employee, I would be like, wow, why would they do this? Not necessarily something that would affect me as an employee, but something that they're doing in their own business because you understand it differently now being on this side. So you portraying these positive images to your employees will also be able to it's like your children, you model the behavior and they model it after you. So that's definitely something that is effective. Another thing that we could do is try and celebrate the small wins. It's not just the big wins that need to be celebrated. And I know this is actually something that we talked about in one of my networking groups. And it's a group of lovely ladies who are all business owners, and we all kind of navigate things together. And in some of our calls, we get to share some of our challenges. And the coach is always reminding us to take time and celebrate the small things, right? Because celebrating is positive. Celebrating is a reminder of why you're doing things. And even if it's not 100% the outcome that you wanted, celebrating these small steps means you're celebrating progress. Don't leave that behind. Take every opportunity possible to celebrate things in life, because I don't mean to get all gloom and doom on you, but life is short. And your entrepreneur life is even shorter, because a lot of people do end up retiring and living out, a retired life after they're done with their business. So in reality, your entrepreneur life is very short. So why would you not take the time to celebrate what you've accomplished, even if it's the small things? I don't really see a downside to that. And I had an example here of a small business story who is a proponent of positive thinking and that have experienced success. Sweet Green, it's a healthy fast food or I guess fast casual restaurant chain, and it's built its entire brand around a positive message of health and sustainability, right? And I know you hear a lot about a lot of these brands, but they are now a chain, so you could argue and say that they have been a lot more successful than some of the other businesses. But it's true. It's, whenever somebody talks about health, is yes, it's a necessary thing. So it's not always the most fun thing to deal with, but they built it around sustainability and about, promoting positive messages. So why would we not take that as a lesson for our own businesses, right? There are a ton of examples. I'm sure you guys can even let me know of other examples of businesses that have used positive thinking or positive mindset to build their dreams. You can also, just to go back a little bit to the whole employee thing, or contractors, subcontractors, whatever you want to call it, or the people that you work with or volunteer with or whatever it is, promoting, a culture of positive thinking is a lot easier said than done. And I think everybody understands that, but it does start with those little steps, right? So imagine celebrating even the small wins. Or when something goes wrong, you could celebrate optimism, right? You could think about, yes, this is a mistake, but number one, we're going to learn from this and get better. How is that not a positive thing, right? It's true. You just have to see it that way, right? So you could also impart that with your employees or your professional group that you're a part of. What about gratitude, right? Like what stops us from running the business the way that we need to run the business and also express gratitude? Yes, do I think personally that I'm, behind on some of the plans that I made myself from 2022? Yes, I am. But you want to know what? I'm really, really grateful for where I am today. I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful for, the speaking opportunity. I am grateful for my friends and my family. And I see a lot of positive things in my life that have continued to be positive, that have continued to bring me joy, even though I have not developed my own personal business as much as I would have liked. Because remember, sometimes we put these goals on paper without thinking of what's realistic. We're all guilty of it. We think we are superhuman. We think that we can do a whole bunch of things. So sometimes you need to practice gratitude and step back and say, yeah, but I have a lot of things to be grateful for, And another thing that is super I guess, productive is providing yourself and your employees opportunities for professional development and growth, right? Because if you don't provide those opportunities for yourself or for your employees, you you how do you expect to see progress, right? So it's important to take the time and provide those professional development opportunities. And it creates this sense of community in your business, right? You're going through it together. You're you're quote unquote in the trenches together. uh, Feeling like you're a part of your community or a part of your work team or your work family is very important, and it can really bring morale up and sustain this um, for the foreseeable future. It can, promote motivation. It can manage stress. Can bounce back from setbacks easier. It builds resilience, and it also allows you to build relationship with employees. I meant it when I said the words work family, because think about it. Sometimes you're working 40, 50 hours a week. It's probably more time than what you're spending with your immediate family sometimes. So it is important to build relationships with people. Well, what about building relationships with your customers, right? Being positive. I think that when your customers are having a bad day and they're interacting with you and you're staying positive to the point of, um, I'm not saying, ignoring your customers' bad days. I'm saying acknowledging them and trying to bring them on the positive path. I think they would appreciate that, because you're not somebody that adds to their problems. You're somebody that helps them feel better, right? And you and your partners at home, we all have bad days, and I have to admit, it's very hard to um, have a bad day yourself and also try to make your partner feel better. So I 100% understand that. I'm just thinking, if you're thinking about things positively, you can share that view with your partner and show it to show them that your perspective is actually a little bit more positive than theirs. So, stop worrying. Stop worrying. I see it this way. And they'll be like, "Oh, okay." So you're not adding your worries onto to their plate as well. And it will eventually, this shift will bring in a positive message to your work environment, your life, your children, your other relationships. So I really do think that overall there are little things that we can do to improve our quality of life just by thinking positively. And if you want to know more about how these things work, science, I guess science-based information, there was a study done by Frederickson in 2009 that you could look up. And I think it's called The Positive Effect and the Complex Dynamics of Human Flourishing. And it was published in the American Psychologist. So if you're interested, feel free. And I believe there must have been a follow-up study, because that one's dated for 2005. So feel free to do that. Just checking in here, guys. We are reaching almost the end. If you're just tuning in here, we're talking about positive thinking, and you're on Negotiating Happiness with Adriana. I'm your host, and we're on 105.3 and 107.7 FM on the United Public Radio Network. So one of the things that I was rambling on and on about today is about how everything kind of comes together, whether it's, your scientific or religious or spiritual, or just, take things one by one. We have some spiritual teachings here on positive thinking that we're going to discuss. One of it is the law of attraction and the power of positive affirmations. And a lot of spiritual teachings emphasize the power of these and how it can shape our reality. The law of attraction states that we attract what we focus on. And so by focusing on positive thoughts and beliefs, we can attract positive experiences into our lives. Positive affirmations are also commonly used in spiritual practices as a way to manifest our desires and align our thoughts with our goal. And I mean, these days you hear a lot about manifesting, and I think some people mean it in the same sense that I do, and then some people don't. Um, it's not just about manifesting money. And I know a lot of businesses or business owners focus on that, and their entire business models built. And I see this a lot on TikTok, on, manifesting money and manifesting a car and manifesting like a lot of, physical possessions. And yeah, sometimes you need to, you need money, you need a car, you need to pay bills. I get that. This is more about manifesting your reality, manifesting your overall look on things. And it's, it's in, it depends on what it means to you. So it's definitely, um, something that's why they say, you can manifest your reality, because the way you perceive things is how you're going to, present it to everybody else around you as well. So the law of attraction, just keep thinking whatever I put out in the universe is going to come back to me, or what I tend to focus on will come back, or come around again. I don't know how you want to think about it. Um, just like I was saying, how focusing on the problem, um, is a problem in itself, right? So this is where the law of attraction sort of explains it better too. Whatever you focus on tends to stay with you. That's why I said, when you have a problem, accept it, move on. What is the solution? Focus on the solution, focus on the positive, focus on the outcome that you can get from the situation. It's like, when life gives you lemons. Yeah, some of us don't like lemons. That's okay, but don't cry about the lemons, right? Move on. What do you do with it? What do you make with those lemons? Will you like it? Well, I have to say, I love lemon squares. So I'm going to make lemon squares. And then at the end of the day, I'm not going to say, ugh, I got a bunch of lemons. Can't believe I got lemons. Poor me, I got lemons. No, I'm going to be like, I made lemon squares today. Would you like some? Right? Like, this is my reality. I'm showing it to you. This is how it is. And I know I'm using ridiculous examples, but I'm trying to break it down, because sometimes hearing really big words or really, embellished ideas does not sink in. And I want you guys to be able um, to know that I'm not just rambling on. I do have a point in here. What's next? Let's see. So how can we do that? How can we incorporate it? This we've already touched on a little bit by doing it for your business, but spiritual teachings teach you it's not just about visualization. There are some powerful tools that you can use, such as meditation. There's gratitude journaling. I can't tell you how many of my clients journal every day. And I was surprised, because I don't know, I guess we just don't talk enough about the spiritual side of us, because we've been conditioned to, be empirical, logical people that kind of reject things outside of science. But it's a really great way to be self-aware of what's going on in your life. So yeah, a lot of my clients do gratitude journaling, and these are really successful clients that have built their business from nothing. It's amazing to see how many people practice this. And obviously visualization can be very powerful. It works for me. Um, but all of these, like meditation, meditation is very hard. I don't know if you guys have tried it. I've tried it on and off, and I feel like I'm not disciplined enough to do it all the time. But it's kind of a, if you were good at meditating, then you would be disciplined enough to do it. But because you're not meditating, you're not good at meditating. Does that make sense? So meditation teaches you how to control not just your physical body and how to, slow down your breathing and just be in the moment and calm and release the stress. It also teaches you how to let go of all these thoughts, like especially somebody like me, who I am pretty much TikTok diagnosed that I have ADHD. There's a lot going on in my head all the time, and I think meditation is the best practice to be able to let go of all those thoughts and clear my head and be able to focus better, right? So I highly, highly recommend, if you can do it, meditation, journaling, visualization, and I've seen a lot of uh, of the corporate workplace that will include some of these in their workplace culture. How you do it is different. Maybe it's not called, gratitude journaling, but it could be called self-reflection, or, there's a lot of different ways to do this with your employees or maybe your children. Ask them, how are they feeling? What do they think that happened that was really good to them today? Even if they had a hard day, right? There's just so many different ways that you could use these tools in your day-to-day life. And it, like, some of the teachings go back to, simple quotes that were recorded. Like, we have one from Buddha that said, we are what we think, and all that we are arises with our thoughts. And with our thoughts, we make the world. To me, that screams, you are what you focus on and you make your own reality, right? Is that not what it means to everybody? Because that's what it means to me. And that to me says, yes, it's important to be a positive thinker, right? And it does really come from your own actions. I was going to give you guys, we're almost done here. And I was going to give you guys a story or two rooted in our entrepreneurship sphere. If you guys have any thoughts about what I've said or other techniques used, or if you have thoughts about the spiritual part of it, on how it, all combines together, let me know. I'm happy to hear you guys from you guys outside of our live show as well. Yeah, just give me a quick shout out on Instagram at ontario.assistant, or you can go to my website at www.ontarioassistant.com and leave me a message on my Connect with Us form. It should appear on every page, so there's nowhere special that you need to go. Just click on there, leave me a message. I'm going to tell you about a success story. So this is a Vancouver-based company. So it's Vancouver, Canada. It's called Snuggabell. And it's a company that makes stylish and functional nursing bras for new moms. And the company was started by Wendy Armbruster Bell, who had a difficult time finding a nursing bra that she felt comfortable wearing in public. And I can relate. And honestly, this is, nursing is difficult as is. You don't need other things to make it more difficult for you. So I definitely appreciated the story when I saw it. And so she decided to create her own line of nursing bras that were both functional and fashionable. Despite facing many challenges as a small business owner, she maintained a positive attitude and focused on finding solutions to the problems. And in the end, her positive thinking paid off. And Snuggabell has become a successful company that is known for its high quality nursing bras. It's just these stories are meant to show you that, it's okay to go through these challenges. Don't get discouraged. Continue on, be resilient, learn from it, and move on, because you are definitely not the first person to go through this, and you're definitely not going to be the last. We want to make entrepreneurship sustainable and part of our happy, right? Why are you doing this? Because we want to be happy. We want to be successful. We want to do all these different things. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the show today. It will be posted on replay on all different platforms, and I will try to put out the links in as many places I possibly can. But thank you so much, guys. And I really appreciate the time that I have here. And again, you are tuned into United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM. And this was Negotiating Happiness with Adriana. I will see you guys next week.